Hello there. Hello there, everybody. It's me, your Star Wars dad, and I'm here today to talk about Omicrons. Omicrons for the early game player, and let's talk first. What is an early game player? We've defined it before. It is anybody who has hit level 85 all the way up to 4 million. Early game is you're playing Grand Arena, you're at level 85, but you have not yet unlocked Hard Conquest, you have not yet unlocked Proving Grounds. So that is your early game player. It's a pretty wide row there, pretty wide swath of players. They're going to be early game, but I really feel like, if we talk about, I'm going to talk about the top five plus one early game Omicrons and the bottom five. So hang on here, we're going to talk about the bottom five. That might be a lot more fun from like the top five, but those bottom five, those top five Omicrons, I really feel like there's probably early game, so you get to about 4 million. These will probably cover most of your Omicron activity. There'll be a few more Omicrons in there. We may talk about one or two of those otherwise, but yeah, let's jump right into this. I think that the very first Omicron that is the most low-hanging fruit Omicron for anybody in this game that anybody can get, you're gonna be farming Anakin, or you should be farming Anakin right off the bat. Anakin Skywalker is the very first, a free character you get in the game, or it's very first or second, I don't know, and then you should farm him. You need a ship for the negotiator. He's just a great all-around character in the game. And then this Qui-gon Omicron makes him into an unrelenting beast. Let's take a look at it. I think you're pretty familiar with it, but let's look anyway. Jedi allies have 30 speed, gain offense equal 3 times their speed, and gain foresight for 2 turns. That's Qui-Gon's leadership ability. While in Grand Arenas, at the start of the battle, if there are no galactic legends and all allies are Jedi, all other allies instead gain offense equal to 30 times their speed, doubled while they have. This instead always threw me off at the beginning. I thought that instead meant instead of this, but instead means also in this case. So I'm not really, the language in it really kind of confuses me a little bit, but anyway. Gain offense equal 30 times, double while they have foresight, so 60 times their speed while they have foresight, which is a lot because he gives everybody foresight. And can't be defeated while Qui-Gon Jinn is active. Qui-Gon Jinn can't gain damage, immunity, or stealth, and he can't be revived. When he's defeated, they all recover 100% health and protection and gain 400% of his offense for 2 turns, so mod him for that offense, get his offense up and running. And of course, the guy we put along with that is Anakin. And the key here is you want to have Galactic Republic Jedi, or maybe just Qui-Gon, Anakin, maybe Ahsoka on the team. Because with Anakin's unique, whenever he's defeated, his next attack deals 100% more damage if all allies were Galactic Republic at the start of the battle. So you could be looking at 800% damage. I mean, I've AoE'd entire Geo teams. I mean, there's just no end to what this initial Omicron on Qui-Gon Jinn. I think it's the first Omicron you get. It's the easiest one. Let's move on to the next one. The next one for me, and I believe this. I know I get a little pushback on this. I think that early game players should farm Wampa before any other character in the guild store with their guild event 1 currency. I think you should go get Wampa. He's a 1-person team. You don't have to farm any teams to get him. You don't have to do any. You got to do nothing. You got to do nothing. Just go spend your get 1 currency. I think I said yesterday was like 11, 10,000, something like 11, 12. I don't remember. Go get him. Get him 7-star. Get him relic, and get his Omicron on, because it just kills everything. He has 50% counter chance, 10% counter chance, health, steal, and offense for each damage over time, and enemies are going to be putting a lot of damage over time, give him more counterattack, basically, and offense. While in Grand Arena, he gains 100% tenacity. If there's no other active allies, we know that this is the basic. He gains 75% defense, max health, max protection, and offense. Doubled if there's only 1 active enemy at the start. That doesn't really happen, I guess. I don't know how that would actually work in Grand Arena. We don't have any other solo. Maybe somebody would put a Savage out there solo. I don't know. That's a weird one. Whenever Wampa is damaged by an attack, inflict 2 stacks of damage over time for 3 turns on the attack enemy. So not only is he issuing damage over time when he attacks, when people attack him, he's giving them damage over times, which can't be evaded. Resistance to cooldown of Furious Foe is reduced by 1 and gain 30% tenacity till the end of the. So he's just stacking tenacity. Furious Foe, he inflicts healing immunity, gains more crit accuracy, critical chance. He stacks offense. I mean, this guy, he's just a monster. I think this is your second Omicron in the game. The third one's a little bit up for grabs. Let's talk about another solo Omicron in the game. that you can use, and that's going to be Savage Opress. I think Savage Opress is another character. He's going to be in the Squad Arena store. You should 7-star him early, working on getting that Omicron. See, I'm sitting there at Gear 12, working on Gear 13. But let's take a look at the Omicron. Whenever Savage takes damage, he gains defense up, heal over time, offense up for 2 turns. Gains 30% turn meter at the end of his turn. He dispels all debuffs on a random other Sith ally and gains those debuffs for 1 turn. While in Grand Arenas, he gains 50% defense, max health, offense, and 30 speed at the start of the encounter. He gains 2 stacks of resilient defense. That means you gotta attack me. It's kind of like a different kind of taunt. With defense makes 10 at the end of the turn. He gains 2 stacks resilient defense, max 10, and 10% turn meter for each debuff. Whenever he's critically hit, he gains 16% health, steal, and offense. All others. Okay, we got a novel here. While he has resilient defense, he has plus 50% defense per stack. So basically, he turns into just a gigantic Sith monster to stack up and crush your foes. Okay, that's 3 of our early Omicrons down. Who's going to be number 4 and 5, and maybe a side note, and then we're going to have a +1 for territory wars. Number 4, we're going to look at another Sith here. It's going to be Traya. I mean, they refunded the Traya. You can't use it against Galactic Legends. It's still just a monster Omicron. Sith allies gain 40% critical damage, max health, and offense. When a Sith ally suffers a debuff, they gain 10% bonus protection until the end of their turn. At the start of each Sith ally turns, Traya dispels all debuffs on them, and all Sith allies gain 5% critical damage, health, steal, max, etc. They just keep stacking up a bunch of critical damage, health, steal, health, and offense. When allied Dark Talon, it comes back to Dark Talon. When allied Dark Nihilus Scion or Dark Talon's health falls below 90% for the first time, their cooldowns are reset. So this is how you get to that immediate Darth Nihilus. If he's in the lead and he converts all the protection to health, his cooldowns are completely reset. He just annihilates somebody almost immediately. Darth Rey is still an amazing Omicron. I think we're going to be finding all the places to use it in the coming weeks. That's going to be fun. The last one, I was back and forth on. I settled on, and there's two. I looked at Zam Wessel, I looked at Iden Versio. I settled on Zam Wessel, and I'll tell you why. I don't think it's better than Iden Versio. I think they're very similar. Zam Wessel, basically, her Omicron is going to give her 60% increases in offense, health, and protection. She's going to gain 5% speed for each other bounty hunter, and then she's going to share 20% of her offense, speed, protection, and health with all the other bounty hunters on the squad. And this, somebody was saying earlier to me, I don't get any holes with this. Well, I get that, but you're forcing them to use a team that's going to outspeed you, right? They have to use a decent team to get it, or you take this into offense, target the right team, and it just elevates your bounty hunters tremendously, especially early game as you're moving through early Grand Arenas. She's just really awesome. So she's my 5th early game Omicron that I'm saying is in the top 5. I'm going to give Iden Versio a really strong, what do we call it? What do you call that? A reward you get. You get the award, but you're not the winner. All right. Well, she falls just out of the top 5, and the main reason is not because of the actual Omicron. The main reason is because you have to farm another team. You have to go farm that secondary Imperial Trooper team for her Omicron. You should be using the first Imperial team with General Veers. The secondary team, you have to go out and actually farm it separately, whereas the bounty hunters, everybody should have bounty hunters, and that's what Zam Wessel works with. So that's why she got the nod here. Iden Versio is equally awesome. At the start of the battle, if no other allies have the leader tag, Imperial Trooper allies also gain 35% max health and protection, and whenever an enemy attacks out of turn, Imperial Trooper allies recover 20% health and protection and gain 10% turn meter on top of all this other stuff. You can't have any other leaders in there, right? So you can't put like Gideon, you can't put Veers in there. I saw somebody do that in a Grand Arena. It was fun. They all have 35% critical chance, offense, and speed. If no other allies have a leader tag, whenever a non-droid Imperial ally trooper attacks on a turn, you can't put Dark Trooper in there. They gain 2% offense stacking. I mean, she just got a great leader ability. Her abilities are awesome. When we throw that Omicron on there, Iden Versio really becomes just a defensive team that you can't mess with. You better put in a real team on her to top that. Who is our +1? The +1 goes to territory battles. We're going to stay right here in the Empire. We're going to look at Mara Jade. You can see I've got the Omicron on there, and I've only got her at 4 stars. The Emperor's Hand. It starts with if Emperor Palpatine is the leader slot at the start of the encounter, Empire and Sith allies have 20% offense and potency. Otherwise, they all gain useful pawn, etc., etc., etc. While in territory wars, at the start of the battle, if the enemy leader is not a galactic legend, they lose 100% protection, 50% max protection, and Mara Jade gains 100% turn meter. Whenever an enemy unit is defeated, all allies gain 20% max protection, and Mara Jade inflicts vulnerable for 1 turn on a random enemy which can't be evaded or resisted. This gets turn meter train going and going and going. When she throws all debuffs on, she just makes this team go bonkers. She makes a Palpatine lead team go bonkers. And look at that. It almost forces them to use a Galactic Legend. If you get all these guys relicked up, they almost have to use a Galactic Legend to avoid losing 100% protection on their leader, or they got to use a really fast team that's going to get out in front of everybody, although she gains 100% turn meter, and she throws out all of these debuffs, and everybody gets a bunch of turn meter. Mara Jade for your territory wars, Omicron, and I do that to +1 just because I don't do a lot of territory wars. I have like a couple. I generally going to stick with Grand Arena. That's my focus right now. Let's take a look at those top 5 Omicrons +1 before we move on to the bottom 5 Omicrons. And there they are for you. Qui-gon, who I believe you should get first. I think the Qui-gon Omicron is just the first automatically to get for anybody. Wampa, Savage Opress, Traya, Zam Wessel with a special nod, a conciliatory nod to Iden Versio. And then for your territory wars, Mara Jade. There's your top 5 +1 Omicrons for early game players from level 85 to up to 4 million. Now let's talk about the bottom 5 Omicrons, and this is where this is kind of the funny part. I think this is where it gets to the bottom 5. We're gonna start with the one that everybody knows. This is generally agreed to be the worst Omicron of the game. Put on the worst character in the game, Rose Tico. She's if she's not the worst character in the game, she's one of the she's up there. And if you throw in the fact that people just don't like her in general from the movies, you know, Rose Tico. She has 10% offense for each exposed enemy. When another resistance ally scores a critical hit, she gains 10% turn meter. That's great. We want Rose Tico with as much turn meter as possible, right? While in Grand Arenas, all of the resistance allies also gain 10% offense for each exposed enemy, and they gain 5% turn meter whenever a resistance ally scores a critical hit. So they're getting up to 50% offense, which actually fades as the battle goes on. If everybody's exposed, only if everybody's exposed. And then they gain 5% turn meter whenever resistance ally scores a critical hit. You know, with the team you're using her with, I don't think there's a lot of I don't know, just whatever. Rose Tico, congratulations on your poopy Omicron. Yeah, don't get Rose Tico unless you're farming Rey, and then don't. I have seen a Rose Tico Omicron slapped on her. Do not do this. Do not do this, boys and girls. Next, we're going to one you might not expect. I'm going to say Chief Chirpa. And the reason I see this is because I see a lot of Chief Chirpa Omicrons. And I've got the Omicron, boys and girls. There it is. Look at that. When it first came out, we all slapped on it and thought, oh man, now our Ewoks are viable. No, they're not. No, they're not. They're a cleanup team. They're just a cleanup team. Ewok allies have plus 30 speed. They gain an additional 40% more damage with basic abilities, and have an additional 40% chance to call an Ewok ally to assist when using a special ability. Here it was 6, so it's a 100% chance to call an assist. Basically, they always call an assist when using a special ability. The problem is, it's still just, you know, death by 1,000 cuts. It really doesn't have a great impact. It feels like it should have an impact. It doesn't have a great impact on the team. They end up just being a cleanup team for you. Maybe they can beat some smaller teams. I have done some mirror Ewok teams where if my Ewoks are faster, I get out in front, boom, we're good to go. But yeah, that Chief Chirpa Omicron, just because it's available and just because you went and got Ewoks so you can get 3PO, I think you should just hold off on this. They still work okay as a cleanup team even without the Omicron. It's just not something really worth adding, and you'll get more value out of stuff later down the road. Even after the top 5 +1, you know, you can get down there and get a Star Killer Omicron. There's just plenty of them out there to get. You don't need Chirpa. Coming up next is Chirpa's, well, really Wicked's best pal in the world. We're gonna talk about Princess Leia. Wait, have they just done Princess Leia dirty in this game, or what? I mean, I know there's a lot of speculation from all of us that she is going to be here. You know, we're gonna have a Galactic Legend General Leia here, but man, we're 7 years into the game, and Princess Leia has been a turd about 6 of those years, maybe even more. So, anyway, whenever she attacks, she has a 55% chance to grant all allies critical chance up, and recovers 5% health protection while in Grand Arena if you put her Omicron on. Whenever she attacks, she has a 55% chance to grant all rebel allies retribution for 2 turns, and a 55% chance to grant all rebel allies tenacity up for 2 turns, and all other rebel allies recover 5% health and protection. I mean, why is everything 55%? I mean, why is everything just round it off? Just rework her. Just make sure she just attacks again and gives everybody retribution and gives everybody. I mean, what's with the percentages? Now, I realize this kind of works in concert with Akbar. Let's go look at Akbar's real quick. But then you got to get 2 Omicrons just for the price for really the value of 1. Like, it's not like, where's my, there he is. It's not like with the Akbar Omicron, you know, there's some kind of massive, awesome team in here. So Akbar gives everybody 25% speed and 10%, 25 speed and 10% tenacity. Raise ability, they call it, okay. At the start of the battle, all allies gain tenacity up for 2 turns. Well, she already has 55%, so maybe they'll be keeping tenacity up for the whole time, or maybe they'll have it dispelled. If they're all rebel, whenever an ally's buff expires, the ally gains 3% turn meter, so the buff, she's 55% giving help. Whenever they use abilities in an attack, allies recover 5% health, and instead of a random ally, the 2 other weakest allies, I mean, it's just too, I don't know, it's just not really helpful. So Princess Leia, next on the list for you. Next, I'm going to go to somebody you might not be thinking about. I've seen this one a few times, Asajj Ventress. Now, a lot of early game players like me, I'm up to the mid game by now, and I still don't have my Nightsisters geared up because I got other things to worry about. The only thing that I'd really use them for at this point, I'd throw them on defense in Grand Arena, maybe get a hold every 1 out of every 10, and then I would use them in the assault battle as well. Let's look at this Omicron. Yes. Nightsister allies gain max 30% health, potency, and tenacity. When an ally or enemy is defeated, they all gain 10% turn meter, recovered protection, and the cooldown of Endless Wrath, that's her AoE attack, is reset. When Asajj uses Endless Wrath, inflict healing immunity on all enemies for 2 turns, and reduce their defense and max health by 4% for the rest of the encounter. Excludes Galactic Legends. She has 10% critical damage for each enemy with buffs. I saw a guy that had this. He said it's been great. He's gotten holds with it. I guess it would help. It would be like really helpful for Daka. You could really like pump her health up through the sky. I've faced this a few times. I have not seen a tremendous difference. I think it's an effective team on defense, one way or another, and I don't think this makes it like, you know, a super awesome, amazing team. Maybe down in like Carbonite, it'd be great. But if you're doing this down in Carbonite, you're missing out on like the Qui-gon Omicron and the Wampa. By the time you get to Asajj's Omicron, it's lost its effectiveness, right? By the time you've gotten the first 5 or 6 Omicrons, you're probably sitting up there 3-4 million. This isn't going to make a big difference for you. I guess if you really have farmed the Nightsisters and you're big excited about Nightsisters, go ahead and give it a shot. But meh, well, whatever. Finally, rounding out our top 5, we're going to have a +1 for Territory Wars, guys and girls. We go to the Empire, and we look at the man who is choking on his aspirations, Director Krennic. This is a big, huge, poopy Grand Arena immeasurable powers where it is. So right here, he gains 10% critical damage for each debuffed enemy and 10% critical damage for each rebel enemy. If Death Trooper is present, he gains these bonuses. I mean, this is just to help Death Trooper. Krennic still does no damage. It's just to help Death Trooper. While in Grand Arenas, he gains 30% defense, penetration, health, and offense. If Death Trooper, I mean, that's just another 30%. But Death Trooper's present, he gains these bonuses. That'll help Death Trooper. It will. Whenever Krennic attacks, Death Trooper is called to assist and has his cooldowns reduced by 1. While allied Death Trooper is active, both Krennic and Death Trooper ignore taunt. Here's the big problem. This would be the only reason you have to farm Death Trooper. Maybe you'd farm him for an Iden Versio team? Other than the Iden Versio, which, by the way, I've already got the Omicron over there. I don't have any other reason. I guess you could have Iden Versio with... But he's a leader, and he's not an Imperial Trooper, so you can't really put him on that team with Death Trooper. It's just, you have to farm Death Trooper and then only put him here with Krennic. And then you'd have a Relic Death Trooper, and you got other things to do with your time. And even then, I faced a team that had this one time, and it didn't help at all. I just crushed it. So I think this is up there with Rose Tico as a horrible, no good Omicron. And finally, we get to our +1, our Territory Wars Omicron. I see this one all the time doing roster reviews, all the friggin' time. Hera Syndulla. Now, do I think this is the worst Territory War Omicron in the game? No, it's not the worst. Not the worst. It's just that people throw it on there because a lot of early game farms will go get Phoenix, right? Because you get Thrawn, you get Palpatine, get you on your ready to Sith Eternal Emperor, get you those early ships to go get the Chimera. Great. Congratulations, you farmed your Phoenix up. Don't throw this on. It's kind of a cheap chirpa situation. Just because it's available doesn't mean you need to throw it on. Now let's look at it. Phoenix allies and territories have 30% counter chance, 50% max health, and 30 speed. When she uses backup plan, they all gain the backup plan buff for 3 turns. The first time each other Phoenix ally falls below 50% health, she gains 80% turn meter. Whenever a Phoenix ally uses special ability, all Phoenix allies gain. So basically, she's throwing around a backup plan on everybody so that when they get defeated, they revive. It's turn meter and everything. I get it. I get it. I guess if your guild is still doing Hoth territory battles, that... No, this is Territory War. Sorry. Territory War. I'm sorry. I backed up. Territory Wars. I don't know. My brain switched to Territory Battle and said, no. I just... Even with all of this in here... Again, I face these things on defense, and there's just no difference. There's just no difference in killing them. Because you just kill them before she gets there. You don't leave them at 50% health. You just take them to 0% health. I guess if you put it, you could use it on offense to give yourself an advantage. I just don't think this thing is worth the Omicron. You have other places to put. Instead of this, you want a Territory War Omicron? Go farm Phasma and put it on Phasma. Put it on Mara Jade, like I said earlier. There's other places to spend if you really want a Territory Wars Omicron. I just don't see where this works. And a lot of you guys are only going to be farming Phoenix to gear 8 or 9 anyway, so it doesn't really help you once you get, like, past the first 10 matches of Territory Wars. You're going to be facing people with big old rosters and stuff. So, yeah, there you go. So there's your bottom 5 plus 1. I think the bottom 5 is actually more fun to talk about. There you go. Rose, Chirpa, Leia, Krennic, Asajj, and the plus 1 is Harrison Dula. I would not waste my time on these Omicrons early game. Farm the other ones. Farm your best ones. Here they are again. Everybody, hopefully this helps you as you're looking at Omicrons going forward. Maybe we'll talk about mid-game Omicrons later. I'm not sure there's not still... We need to get more Omicrons and talk about them. So, anywho, have a great day. Talk to you soon. Always remember, Nooch too good.